truck. Now you know what I haven't actually done yet? I haven't done properly an arcade game. I mean, obviously I've covered them in previous reviews, but normally it was only ever to move on to a conversion. I've never actually done a full-blown, bona fide, 100% arcade review. Methinks it's time to change that. And while there are obviously hundreds of arcade games I could choose from, I only have eyes for one, because it's been too long since a proper Sega video either. And the only cure for this is Space Harrier. I'm sure you'll know how it goes. Flying through the air, big gun jammed against your armpit, all sorts of weird crap coming at you. It's not just any old arcade game, believe me. Now when I was a wee nipper and my parents started taking me to the arcades, Space Harrier was always one of the go-to machines. I mean, it may have been about 7 years old by that point, 1992, but it still wowed me. And playing it brings back tons of great memories. The dingy old venue filled with smoke, the big machine that's always got a little kid on it going, I'm playing, even though there's no frickin' money in it. Just, you know, clambering your way through all the empty crisp packets and fag butts just to get on that seat, just to escape everything, just to ride around for a couple of minutes. And then it's off that machine and on to the next arcade. And everyone got Savaloin chips on their way home. Mummy, why are those two men wrestling each other? And so on and so on and so on. You know, there's enough nostalgia here to fill up half an hour. I'm dead serious. And enough different versions of the game to fill up another. This game was ported everywhere. But for now, let's just concentrate on that one glorious arcade game, because it's certainly good enough to stand on its own. Back in the late 1980s, the golden age of, I don't bloody know, Phil Collins or something, Sega released a veritable shit ton of groundbreaking arcade games, with spectacular looking cabinets to match. Afterburner, Super Hang-On, Galaxy Force 2, Outrun, it's a long list. Not too many of those games have actually held up over time. Games like Afterburner and Galaxy Force in particular were so spectacular in the arcade that while playing them at home isn't bad or anything, it's not quite the same. Some other games definitely fared better, mainly the racers. Super Hang-On is still a kick-ass motorcycle game, and Outrun still gives you that glorious feeling of driving just to bloody well do it. Space Harrier is probably the only shooter-scaler game that's come through the years virtually unscathed. It's outlived a lot of the games it inspired. Obviously the FMV rail shooters never stood a chance, and those timeless 2D graphics give it the edge for me over the still great yet somewhat dated Star Fox. Now the big question of the day is, well, why is that? Well, let's take a look behind the scenes and see what's going on behind all the flashing lights. The brilliance of Space Harrier, aside from the more obvious aspects like the game's speed or its glorious 2D that hasn't aged even a little bit, is that despite being a rail shooter, it actually doesn't feel so much like a rail shooter. As a matter of fact, it does feel quite traditional. Most other rail games of the day seemed to throw the whole kit and caboodle at you. It was hard to discern any patterns, and you pretty much just had to survive as best you could. Space Harrier's enemies, on the other hand, actually do have classic shooter patterns, and they all come in waves, they all Gallagher around at you. In fact, they behave exactly as enemies would in a traditional shooter, showing off their formation flying and then firing off salvos at you. You can prepare for enemies that are coming your way, and you always know what's going on. It's intense, but it isn't disorientating. I get the impression that if you were to remake Space Harrier as a plain Jane horizontal shooter, the game would still work. It wouldn't be the same obviously, but you'd be able to recognise it as a well-crafted bit of code. And it combines this with what you would expect from a rail shooter. It's fast as all get out, you have to dodge plenty of obstacles along the way. And of course, you got hydraulics out the arse. It being one of the first big scalar games Sega made helps a bit here, I reckon. Whereas Sega's later games just went all out for the gut and the experience, they were still somewhat in between with Space Harrier, combining traditional shmup mechanics with their newfangled toys. It helps that you've got all those sound cues too. All that lovely sound. Let's just take a second to appreciate all the classic effects.
You're doing great. Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready. Get ready.
Now every generation of arcade goers, at least in the days before everyone just stopped going, has a set of arcade sounds that just feels right to them. Now the younger you get, the more you actually mix and match from different eras.
Space Harrier came out in 1985, the year of my birth, and I would probably reminisce about, I don't know, Street Fighter 2 sounds just as much as the effects from this game. But you know, it's not like there was just nothing but new games in the arcade back in '92. Especially not in frickin' Essex.
Pretty much every enemy has their own distinct sound as well, making them all stand out. An army of individual goons, so to speak. And then you've got the classic samples, and you have the music. The Space Harrier song? I bloody conic. The best video game song. You can keep all your epic, bombastic RPG themes and whatnot, it's Space Harrier for me every single time. I don't really need to say anything in this review, to be honest. It would be enough just to do a montage of clips from the game to that main theme and say that this is why the game is so damn amazing.
So you combine a heady mix of nostalgia, all those sirens blaring at you, music from the lap of the freaking gods, some actual decent game design, and of course the secret ingredients that a dunderhead like me couldn't possibly put their finger on. You put all of that into the melting pot, and eventually, hopefully, Space Harrier comes out. A work of staggering genius.
I will always be grateful to the original Harrier as one of the games that I just loved way back when. Perhaps not something that turned me into a full-blown gamer or anything over the top like that, but just something that was, is and always will be damn good. One of life's little pleasures, like making a good omelette, or singing karaoke, or hearing that din when the video finally finishes rendering. Space Harrier will always bring a smile to my face, and I hope that it brings a smile to yours too.
And so, with that said, it's time to end the video. So thanks for watching, and wherever you are, whoever you may be, have a good one, take care, and I'll see you next time.